Well, welcome everybody to the Beyond Sundays podcast. I get the opportunity and blessing to be your host today. My name's Ben Johnson. I'm the executive pastor here at Beltway Park, and with me is my special guest, Zach Vassar. So introduce yourself, Zach.
Hey, I'm Zach. Work here with Ben and the team in the men's groups world. Well, I should say I'm in the groups world, the men's pastor in the groups world, and yeah, glad to be here, man. Excited to visit
have this conversation together.
Chat through some of these things. And
yeah, well, as you guys know, we've been going through this series together. It's been incredible so far, and we expect it to keep going. Wild Goose Chase is what we're doing. We're going off of this book as well, using it as a resource through this teaching series. And this week we're focused on week 6, which if you've been with us, and I hope you have been, this will be familiar to you. But if not, I'm just glad that you're jumping in here, and it's great. You don't have to go back and watch every single episode to catch up. I mean, just jump right in here with us today. It's going to be a great conversation. But what we're talking about is the cage of failure. And if you've been with us, you know that part of what we've been going through in this series is that what this is about is this adventurous life that God promises for us when we follow Him and following the Holy Spirit and letting Him lead our life. It really is an adventure. But oftentimes what we find is we can kind of categorize these 6 cages that hold us back from that abundant life that Jesus offers. Yeah. And so today we're specifically talking about the cage of failure. And, as I was even thinking about the series, and I've been, processing this with all of you and been reading and everything, I just find it interesting that the Lord's highlighting to me that oftentimes I get caught up in the lie and the deception that the enemy tells us, that if you follow Jesus, if you give your life to Him, it's actually going to be like restraining, and it's all these rules, and, it's going to hold you back.
Yeah.
That's the lie, when in reality, it is what cages you. You get caged by sin, and we get caged by different gods that we make out of our life and chasing these things. And in reality, the truth is, and once we start to live it, you and I have both found this out, and I hope you have too, is that when you give your life to Jesus, the opposite is actually true. There's this incredible adventure ahead of us, and that's been my testimony. I mean, I've gone places all over the world I never thought I'd go. I've seen things. I've experienced healings and witnessed healing. Just so many things that we can talk about, and we will talk about some, but I want us to dive into this topic specifically of the cage of failure and kind of what that's been for your life and my life. And I want to start by reading just a quick quote from page 118 in this book. And I just thought, man, he did such a good job kind of summarizing this. And this is what it says. It says, failure handled improperly can be devastating, but failure handled properly is the best thing that can happen to us. Failure teaches us our most valuable lessons. It keeps us from taking credit for or taking for granted later successes. We make the all-important discovery that even when we fall flat on our faces, God is right there to pick us back up again. And failure also has a way of opening us up to options that weren't there before. And I thought, man, that's powerful. And it's so true. Like, we get caught up thinking, failure is absolutely devastating. And it can feel that way. You and I have both experienced this. But in reality, God works all things for His good and glory. And having those experiences, I think, help us move towards the future. The reality is we are going to fail.
Right.
There is not a if, it is when. And so, but in that, trusting this to be the case. So I'll just, man, when you hear that, what do you think about?
When I hear what you literally just read, I actually think about key things in my own personal story, mine and my wife Rachel together, to make that statement completely true. Yeah, I've always thought and been taught, you can't fail unless you quit. And so I think failure has a way of attaching to our identities. Yeah. Who am I? Not just success maybe that you have in your business or in your life or in your family or significance that you're chasing or whatever, but something, failure can look a lot of different ways. In my case, I could probably write a book on how many times have you failed at something, like countless. Yeah. But I think about a particular day when we learned about something that was, one day it was great, the next day it's just gone. And not realizing until that happened that I'd attached who I was to that.
To what you were doing.
To what I was doing. Yeah.
So it's in your adult life.
In my adult life, yeah. So I coached high school football for 11 years. A lot of people still connect me to that, which is crazy because I've been officially out of coaching as long as I was in coaching. Yeah. But once it gets on you, man, it's like, hey, coach. So that's like your name.
I've never even coached. I just pretended to be a coach, and they still call me
hey,
coach.
Look,
So I get it.
yeah. I am Zach, right? Like I am not coach. But anyways, nonetheless, we actually got out of teaching and coaching because we were involved in a direct sale business. This was back in 2013-ish when I got out of teaching and coaching. We got involved in that because we needed to make some extra money for daycare bills. Our second kid was on the way, and it turned into way more than what we ever saw coming. And so I say that to say, and I'm not going to get into the details of that, but what happened is when we decided for Rachel to come home and get out of teaching, and myself too, we burned the boats. Like we went all chips in that business. We saw it as a business. We saw it as a future. We saw it as what would be willable to our kids. We saw it to what would pay for college. We saw it for, all these. We cashed out our teacher retirements. I mean, we went all in.
Really
I know
all in,
you could be watching this and you may be involved in, say, like some sort of, call it a side hustle, call it a.
Yeah.
Most people, 99% of people who are involved in those, they treat it that's very passive.
Yeah.
We cross the line where it's not passive. This is
Even Shark Tank style.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you do that in that business, in network marketing, let's call it that, you are building voluntary businesses. Yeah. There's no contracts. You're not my employee. If I recruited Ben back in those days, I'm going to have to help Ben do what he's doing based off of what his goals, his dreams, his aspirations are. Okay. And then he's being held accountable to that. Yeah. Okay, so for me and my wife, we started what was with daycare beginning to be big dreams, big goals, big aspirations. We went all in, right? Left a career. We had people saying, "You're what are you doing?"
Sure.
And we believed in it.
Yeah.
And so instead of selling products, we were selling belief. Gotcha. We were selling hope. We were selling the same things that we were trying to get people to see bigger than what they could see, like big vision. We came into that naturally with people that were incredible people. I mean, I met Jesus in this season. We got saved, I wouldn't say through a business, but how God used people in that space to lead us to the Lord. I mean, this radically changed everything about our lives. Yeah. We ended up getting out of teaching and coaching. We moved around. We were in Dallas, Frisco area for a while. We come to Abilene, trying to make roots, home, all that. I'm literally at a men's boot camp here that Beltway's putting on.
That you now lead.
That I now lead.
At the time, we're not leading.
At the time, not, And man, we somehow find out that there's this call to get on, and I go off up into the hill where you could get some Wi-Fi, and I find out that we're going to lose that business. And I think of I liken it to like on Avengers whenever Thanos just snaps his finger. It's like you can't do anything. Yeah. There's nothing. There's no, And so here's the floods that start coming through your mind. I've sold this to a lot of people. Yeah. I've brought a lot of people into this. I believe in this. I have no real control over this.
Yeah, it's not something you even did.
No,
if I understand that
the company,
this, right?
Yeah, but nonetheless, like social media, the image you've built, the influence you've created, the your followers, reputation. Your reputation. Like then you have I told you so, and one of those things, and so you just put all that in a bucket, and man, it hit me in a way of like, I don't know who I am. Yeah, even though I've been saved. Even though I know who Jesus is and I fully accepted that, even though we've walked through marital, just crazy stuff, I had somehow let that be an identity mantle. Sure. Yeah. And so then all of a sudden, and not even know it, just like that book, you didn't even know it until. Yeah. So it's not even about losing the money. I mean, we lost 99% of our income. At the snap of a finger, yeah. Wow. So what am I going to do now? Yeah, sure. What am I going to tell the girls? What am I going to? We immediately are going. We're canceling trip. And so all that to be said, it was the worst thing that had ever happened to us in our adult life, and also the best. Just like I said, literally. And I even had that thought, maybe not right there in the moment, sure, but pretty quick. Into this, because of who I was around and the way God used some people to speak some life into what we were really had our hands on from a kingdom perspective.
Let's just touch that real quick because I think what's normal for men and women, but it's not hard for our identity to get wrapped up into what we do and our jobs and our professions, right? And it's not abnormal if something like that were to happen, your fault or not, to be just like crushed in the what ifs and the like, what do we do? You know,
Man, I had a million of those what ifs.
Yeah, but even in that moment, you talked about, because of the community you had, and we talk about community around here a lot for a reason. You had people around you that it didn't take you as long to get to the place of purpose and understanding.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember being out at the time. Our camp was at Camp Eagle. I just got this news. In 30 minutes, I'm actually teaching a topic we have called the poser, which is false identity.
Yeah.
And I'm over here going like, I can't. I'm a poser. I've been because I had let my identity become that. The day went on, everything went fine. That night, man, it finally set in, man, and we're some worship time, and I just broke, man. I feel like somebody's squeezing me. Like, I've got to get home and talk to Rachel. Yeah, I haven't even been able to communicate with her. This isn't just affecting me. This is affecting thousands of people. I have hundreds and hundreds of friends across the country, people on our own team, who are experiencing failure. Like they feel like this is failing. This failed. I thought this was, and so all this stuff squeezing down in on you. And I had a couple key people. Randy Reese was one who just gave me a hug. He didn't even have to know what was going on. He knew. Yeah. He gave me a hug. He looked me right in the eyes and he said, "This doesn't change what God wants to do in your life." Yeah. And I could say that, but I don't know that I believed that. Sure. But when you know it's true, right? But you're like, it's hard to live. So out God moment, uses a man to remind you. Yeah. Then later that night, I'm in a conversation with Kevin Tutt, and we're talking through these things. And Kevin's like, "Hold on a minute. You mean to tell me?" I've never really told this story. He's like, "You're telling me you're in the top 1%?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't really like make a deal out of that." And he's like, "No, you don't understand. Everyone I've ever known in my life has tried to talk to me about, Kevin, if you would just do this, you would just, and you've never tried to talk to me about that." And I thought, well, when I told him, I never wanted any of you guys to think I'm trying to get you to do something. Yeah, like our relationship. I'm building a relationship for the sake of this. Our relationships matter more than what I do. And he was like, I mean, am I stupid or something? Something wrong with me? Like he's made these big jokes, you know. But but what happened is that led us in a conversation of God telling me, no, hey, you haven't made this your identity. The enemy's trying to tell you that's what you've done. No, you haven't. Yeah. So it brought some truth. Nice. The other was Coach Conley. A lot of you guys will listen to this. You may know Quinn. He actually has a name. He's also not been a coach for like years. But there's the theme here. So we're sitting down the next morning, and I tell him all that's going on. He's asking all the questions. He always asks a ton of questions, you know. Yeah. And he just leaned in and he said, "I'm so excited for you." And I thought, did you hear anything that just came out of my mouth? And he goes, "No, think about this. Based on what's happening to you, you're going to get an opportunity to show other people that you actually believe in the things you say you believe in." Wow. Not everybody gets opportunities like what you have. Yeah. So the perspective change was, I could see this as failure and total loss. Yeah. What are we going to do? Or I can see it as there's an opportunity here. Like, it's not a setback. What if it's a setup? Like, what? Yeah. Man, I don't know what God has for my life. I mean, I thought maybe this was the thing, but man, and I can't even tell you how important that lens change. Sure. Yeah, and I knew it at the time that was a big deal. Yeah. But it played out to be a ginormous. And then there's other people. I could name a bunch of people. I was rooming with Tickner that time, that camp. He was great. Scott Goolsby and I bonded. We've always been close, and we're going through tough things with people, and you just got people that huge. Having that community, and I kind of talk about this as so many of us in our life don't have these type of people in our lives, and we're trying to normalize that here at Beltway with just godly relationships, no matter what ministry you're in, being in group with people. Because what I like to say often is, too many of us have what I call sin cheerleaders in our life. It's like they're the people that when you've messed up or when you're down or whether it's your fault or not your fault, they're just the,
yeah, you deserve better, and yeah, whatever on them, and yeah, you should just leave her, and all this type of stuff,
Yeah,
and they just kind of coach
we
you
had
into like
those.
your feelings, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you need people. We all need people like this that like align your vision and heart and mind to truth, and just even when it's hard to share, but you've given them permission to like to do that.
Hard.
Help
Yeah.
bring me into alignment, because I need to be that for other people when I'm in healthy times. And
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I watched. This isn't the first time this has happened to a company like this. This is a trend somewhere in this space, and the reality is, anytime a business gets in towards like the $1 billion revenue mark or close, man, there's lawsuits, there's things. I mean, you can't get to that level in a business where there's not just stuff. And so this isn't isolated to this one industry. Failure is going to happen, and businesses are going to fail. Plans are going to go a different direction. It's just going to be part of it.
Sure.
And so what you're describing, and I didn't have language for it at the time, but I do now, and I think it's very important for men and women to really pick up on this, is that like looking back, I had a couple of men that were very fatherly in that moment. I had a couple of men that were very brotherly in that moment. Mm-hmm. And then I had, going home, my kids and some other people that were looking to me, that we had led for taking what they had just given me, like some reassurance of who I am, and then passing that along. So my surroundings were incredible. Yeah. Like, I just can't even tell you. That's why I would say this is the greatest thing that ever happened to us in our life, is it showed me God's not only for me. Not only does he have a plan that I don't see the big picture in all the time, but he's put people surrounding my life to help me walk it out. Yeah. Yeah. And that's not just for Zach. That is available for everybody. Absolutely. Now, you look back, those relationships didn't just happen at a camp. Right. They weren't just I could tell you a story on how
you developed those.
I could tell you a story on each individual person I named, plus many other that I spent time developing, cultivating, seeking after. Sure. Just good people in your life. Yeah. I spent years in wrong huddles. Yeah, sure. Around you called them the sin. What'd you call them?
Sin cheerleaders.
I was a sin captain cheerleader at one point. Like we had a whole bus. Like we were going somewhere in life, baby. Like just silly stuff. But I mean, I can't put words to how thankful I am. Yeah.
Well, to me, even just hearing you say that testifies to even some things that Jeffrey and David have both been preaching here lately about. You don't wait for those moments, because they're going to happen. Right. Jesus told us in life, these things will happen, but take heart. And part of that is you don't wait for that to happen to be like, I need these fathers and brothers and godly people in my life to speak into it. You cultivate that now. Yeah. So that when you need it, you're that for them, they're that for you. And so that's why we harp unashamedly on that.
It's a certainty. I'll tell you another story that happened. A couple of years later, even though, I'm not going to go into details of too much of this, but I ended up getting in because of this. Then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Yeah. And there does come a point in time where you go home and you sit down with your family and you're like, hey, what do we do? You get with your people, your tribe. Hey, what do we do? Man, we had an inbox loaded with opportunities, hey, I'm so sorry that this happened, but have you thought about? Come on, man, let us go to let us have the funeral. Right. This was a bit, when I say we went all chips in, I literally mean like we went all chips in. Yeah. And so as a result of that, though, I'd been closed-minded to other opportunities for a long time. I think it was another thing in that quote you read. Yeah. This was so good for us because, hey, God, what would you want us to do? Sure. Like, here's a novel thought.
Yeah, we might be blind to what is next, what he's wanting to do.
Who knows? Yeah. And so right there, I'm working in the oil field with my buddy Bo, and a chaplaincy position. As some things moved around, it just made sense. Zach, just go out and just get to know guys. Just go love on guys. Oh, I can do that. Let's do that. And then as it goes down the road, I end up when Randy is going to retire from Beltway Park, there was a natural fit. I didn't apply for this job. I did not even have a resume prepared. I didn't go to school. If you'd have told Zach 15 years ago you're going to work at a church, I'd have laughed you off the center bus. Yeah. Like we'd have kicked you out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You ain't going. We're going. Like yeah. And I mean, I could just such a pivotal moment. Even though I can sit here and say that, there were still some things in the process that were tough.
Yeah,
And
sure.
they're still tough. Like, we had developed great relationships with people. You come to find out a lot of times relationships can be seasonal. There were a bucket of people that I knew really well that ended up going through divorces. They didn't handle this the way that we handled it. And I'm not saying that to pat our back. It was because of our surroundings.
They didn't have those people.
The people that were in our life. Yeah, they didn't. I can point to a couple. They didn't have those things.
Yeah.
There were some people that they had to control something. They just jumped into the next and jumped into the next.
Yeah.
And still today, like however many years later, 5, 6, 7 years later, they're still jumping into the next thing. And that's great. That's no foul. Like, you gonna go and make decisions however you're gonna make them. But like, for us, this was more like, no, let's just rest.
Yeah.
And if it's peaceful, we'll move in that direction.
Well, there is a difference because, I mean, you see like some of these friends, and it's not speaking ill of them, but it's like they're chasing that next thing for that thing to be the answer, and it never will be. Instead of you had the opportunity, as Quinn, said to you, as hard as it might have been to hear in that moment, hey, there's an opportunity here because
opportunity of a lifetime.
King of the universe who created you and created all things is going to speak to you right now. And it's trusting. I think that is the hard part in failure, is it really makes you go like to that all in thing you were talking about with this other one. If I'm all in with Jesus, do I really trust that he's going to take care of me, that he's going to provide financially, spiritually, emotionally? Is he going to take care of my family? Like, is this going to work out? And what we've seen, what you've experienced, what I've experienced over and over again, it says absolute yes. There's no question.
Yeah, and I would go back and do it all the same.
Yeah.
I have no regrets in any of that. I am still I've become more of an opportunistic person. I've tried some things that have worked. I've tried some things that haven't. Man, it really opened me up to going, failures, it's okay. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. I mean, unless you quit, have you really failed?
Yeah.
I mean, getting on a journey, and you're talking about Wild Goose Chase, like the Holy Spirit's crazy, man.
Yeah.
He's going to be over here one day and over there the next. And if you get in such a routine, you can absolutely miss things he's wanting to show you about yourself, about your people, your family, of who he is, and man, I don't know. I can't even. I'm just thankful that's been the case.
Reality.
Yeah.
And will be.
It's just the truth. It's how truth works. Yeah. Now, there's been some truth tellers in that too. I mean, there was a time a couple of years later in all this, I got pretty bitter about this one particular company, because even though we lost all our income, we'd get these like $25 checks every month. Yeah. Which is, hey, that's cool. But I mean, this was like, it was almost like you want to throw it away and you get so mad.
Yeah.
And I was on a vacation with a couple family friends, one that goes to church here, another one that's from Ennis, and it was my friend JR from Ennis. And I was about day 3 or 4 into this vacation, just complaining about, stuff.
Yeah.
And he sized me up and said, hey, this bitterness that you have, man, it's tearing you, like it's awful. It looks awful on you. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
And so we sat down. We actually had that took me through some deliverance. And this deal's like, man, the point is, we never arrive, even on the other side of, say, getting through a failure.
Yeah.
I mean, the enemy prowls around like a roaring lion. He'll still come in sometimes and go like, gosh, I just can't believe that you did, years later. He's a whittler. Yeah. So thankful that had a good friend there in that season too, that could just speak some truth.
Yeah.
With love, but also like, man, this isn't.
He's got permission to do that.
Yeah. You've come so far. Why let offense or bitterness creep in and destroy the things that God's wanting to do? Because he's already shown he wants to do something.
Where you even see there's still some rooted stuff in there that even if it's small, it's like, man, I don't want any of that in my life.
Yeah, it's like when a weed grows up. You clean the flower beds out, get them all turned over. You got new mulch or whatever. And it's like, you do the man thing. You mow the yard. You do the weed eat in your flip flops. Like the walk.
Yeah.
You're like, you pay homage to your yard.
I always step out in the street and kind of assess it. And
look at the neighbors. I look over at Larry's.
You see it too, right?
Yeah. See how green that is?
Yeah.
And then a few days later, it's like, there's a weed up
right there. Yeah.
Oh man, no one sees it but you.
Yeah.
But man, it's all I see.
That's all I can think about.
And it just starts getting control, and it is like you said. There's a root down in there, and it's there.
It up.
You can't weed eat that thing. You got to get in there, and pull it out.
I don't know if you find this. Because you talked about kind of being more opportunistic and seeing how the Lord has shifted your heart in this, knowing that in the future even from today, there's still going to be failures in front of us, but I find it interesting in myself, and wonder if you feel similarly, is that as much as I've learned over the course of time, having experienced failure and knowing that, like, some of the best things I can go through, the best teachers in my life, and there's so many people that would say this, every coach I know says this, the best teacher in your life is failure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I find myself that as I look ahead, it's like much of my motivation is to avoid that at all cost.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting knowing what I know and experiencing what I've experienced. Not that I'm trying to seek out failure, like I need to figure out a way to fail today, but more embracing, like, these things are going to come when you go on an adventure, when you take some risks, when you try some things, and you're asking the Lord and taking steps of faith. And I just find it interesting that, like, so much of my motivation can sometimes be avoid that instead of settling with the Lord to go, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And this is an okay part of the process.
Yeah, we want to play it safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this was such a hit for us, is because having success in an industry like that is anything but playing it safe. Most people are very put off by it. How do you do, it's real pointed. And then all of a sudden you get past this bubble and it's starting to work, and people are starting to change their point of views on things, and it starts to grow, and it's good. It takes a risk, man. You put yourself out there. A lot of times just someone putting themselves out there, liken it to sharing the gospel. Like, you take a risk when you go pray with somebody, when you share the hope of Christ with somebody. How receptive are they going to be? I don't know. Is that really on me, or is it just on me to go, hey, I just got to share this with you, And so you start repping, I don't know if it's a muscle, but the more you do that, maybe the riskier, the confidence, but then all of a sudden something happens. And I always learn this as an athlete or as a coach. It's never about what happens to you. It's about how you respond to it, how you deal with adversity. It really shows your character, who you're becoming in the process of the pursuit of the things that you're seeking after, what you're going to do, and then you take these, you put all your energy and effort into this. I mean, I can look back. I coached for 11 years. Had a couple really great years. We had a ton of success. A lot of kids going on to college. And then I coached a couple of years, man. I coached 2 1-9 seasons. Man, where it's like you almost think like,
I'm gonna have a job.
I'm gonna
here
move.
Next year.
I just want to change career. Like this isn't for me. Like I'm not. I suck at this. Like, and it's these crazy thoughts. But now that I've been out, I look back and, like, I have the closest relationships with the kids who are now daddies that were on the worst teams that we had.
Seasons,
Yep.
Yeah.
The things that we thought up as coaches to get creative with in the off season, coming off of a real tough year, produce more fruit than when we had great athletes and kind of had your talent where you'd want it to be. It forced you to maybe hold on to the plow a little bit harder, row the boat a little bit stronger. You just kind of figure out who you are when things get hard. Which is it's the crux of it all, man.
Sure.
Like, take up your cross every day.
It comes down to, like,
I don't want it. It's hard.
Where is my identity?
Yes.
Who am I? Like, who am I going to be dependent on? Who am I going to rely on? And
Yeah, and I mean, sports is kind of an easy place to say those things. You don't have to be involved in sports to have that same exact discovery. You don't have to have anything. Matter of fact, I think you can find it maybe faster when competition's not in the way, because competition can also breed a whole slew of
that's interesting.
Other things, that come into comparison and striving. Everything gets result focused instead of process. You think about raising kids. You could be a mom watching this, and man, it's hard. Your kids are they're defiant, or maybe they did something crazy in public. You're like, don't ever do this in public. You can do it here at home. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, they're starting to do it in public. What do we do? And now you're wrestling with, am I a failure as a mom or a dad? Am I messing this up at home? Or they don't even listen. How come
comparison with other families
their kids,
you see?
why do their kids act the way they and mine act? It could be pick your thing.
And sometimes we don't even need people to throw that at us. It's one of the things we talk about with social media and stuff that has definitely grown since it's been in play. Is you start building, and the enemy probably saying that to us, you start building those dialogues without anybody even saying words of, like, you comparing yourself with other families.
Absolutely.
Comparing yourself with other people. And I think what you said is, like, it kind of depends on how we define failure. But in that, it equally is
Yeah.
how we define success, right?
I had
what
a
is
good
success?
good mentor teach us one time. I this was years ago, but like, do you look at things as a failure, but do you even have a standard set in your mind for what passing is?
Yeah.
Like as a kid growing up, 70s passing, right? So like you kind of know that. Well, here we are, we're in our mid 40s,
Yeah.
and you have your job, your family, your life. Well, what's passing?
Yeah.
Do you even have a number? Well, instead of feeling like a failure, how about you get together with your family and decide what's our line?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then we can look at, are we passing or failing? You know what I mean? It was like,
Right.
but it was such an eye opener. It was like, oh man, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We don't have a clue. Like we're running around, and the enemy loves it.
Yeah.
Loves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to get you to feel in all these ways.
Sure.
And all the while, it's like, well, how do I even, if I don't have a mark, how do I even know if I'm even close?
Right.
You
Right.
know, I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's going to share a story at boot camp, and he's been through a ton of stuff in his marriage. And he was saying that this is last season. Him and his wife took his two daughters and sent them to their grandparents so that they could get together by themselves for a week and just start mapping out what are their values as a family.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I'm talking about. Like he and his wife are setting a pass or fail.
Yeah.
If you even want to look at it pass, but maybe
Sure.
we didn't have that conversation yesterday. But as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like,
Yeah.
he's on to something.
Yeah.
You know, at least you can now know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm even thinking about, in my own life when these moments of falling down and failing and messing up, whether it's in marriage or just friendships or life or whatever the case may be, and I've found that in the last several years, I've found this piece about it has become less to me about the job, the title, the paycheck. It's like these things that I think culturally, sometimes we don't even say what's past fail, but we've set them up in our mind of like, there's a salary, there's a number out there, there's a
Yeah.
title. You kind of feel like
Yeah.
you're striving for something. I found myself doing that. Like I'm striving for something, but I don't even know if I could sit here and go, well, this, like if I can get here, then that's success. It was this ambiguous thing.
Yep.
But what shifted several years ago for me was just this, this kind of open-handedness. We end every service at Beltway Park with just this open-handedness to receive from the Lord. And it really was trying to start living that way. It's like, God, I'll do anything. Like I'll move anywhere. I'll do any job. I'll do anything if it's what you want. And I have to trust that even if it's not what I think would be cool or awesome or
What everyone else would think would be cool.
everyone else would.
Of course,
define
Ben's
that.
doing that. Yeah,
Right.
I knew it.
For me, for a long time, it was, I enjoy acting. I enjoy doing these. I enjoy comedy. And I thought maybe it had to be some round. If it's not that, I'm going to always feel a lack, and I think in that was where a shift happened to like, God, if that's what you have for me, cool. If not, I just want what you want. And I wanted to live in this place. And when that happened, I feel like, man, things just started to open up for me, and just my anxiety got better, all these different things. And it moved from a place of striving to what, even as I'm talking it out with you in real time, it was just this ambiguous thing that I couldn't even really peg, this is what success is, to now it's really what that feels like to me. Success is just, whatever the Lord has for me. And that may be different tomorrow than today, or I might do what I'm doing as a job for the next 20 years. I don't know, but I'm very open-handed to like, if it is, great. If it's not, I'm going to trust that wherever that, and I've had that moment in the last 5 years of literally moving and doing some things, but it has been, man, it's been refreshing and exciting, and it's been an adventure. It's not what I expected at all. And I didn't really expect to leave Beltway. I didn't expect to come back to Beltway, but it was just this thing that happened that now I can go, oh, I see what you were doing, Lord. But, I didn't live day to day like I can't consider that because, that's not part of the plan of success, And so I have found overwhelming peace in living that way and making sure it's God. It's having those people around me that as I have these inklings to do something, try something, go somewhere, that I'm listening to the Lord and listening to godly people around me that I know are listening to the Lord on my behalf,
right?
To make sure there's alignment there. And so the Bible talked about that kind of makes me think of, things we've been reading in the Word, things that we've been hearing on Sundays, but also in even Wild Goose Chase. Honestly, it talks about these divine appointments. That's the word he uses in this book. And I'm just wondering about maybe a couple of these in the stories you've shared that seemed like clear divine appointments. As you're thinking about that, I'll mention one of mine, but one here recently in talking about this move of leaving, Beltway, that we were clear the Lord told us to go do, in Bastrop, and then now moving back, because I was struggling when we knew it was the Lord telling us it's time to come back to Beltway, and just excited to do so, but also grieving a bit on leaving where we were, because he told us to go there too, and we had to wrestle through, are you done with this in this season here and all of that? And there was this moment I remember when we first got to River Valley was the name of the church in Bastrop. And one of the clear things the Lord had showed me that was needed there was something that was very normal at Beltway, and that's our freedom ministry. Like, it's just kind of in everything we do here, right? It's in our DNA. It's in everything, men's, women's, adults, like it's everywhere. And it's such a good thing. Well, that wasn't normal there in that church or in that community, is what we know to be freedom tools and freedom elements. And I knew, me and my wife did, that this was something we were supposed to bring. And I would talk with Sherry on the phone, like, how did this get started at Beltway? Because I feel like I'm needing to start this. And even how he went about bringing some of that into fruition. But there was a moment where in that season, as I'm praying into this with the Lord, and how's this supposed to work here in Bastrop? This song kept coming up on, I can't remember if it was in my Spotify, on the radio, probably both. My Father's House by Corey Asbury. I don't know if you've heard it. So, man, it was one of those songs that in the moment, because the Lord was using it to speak to me, I would get chills every time I heard it. And I felt like the Lord was saying, like, man, there's going to be a moment at some point in this, what we're doing here in this church, that there's going to be like a Freedom Weekend type thing, is the only thing I could picture it. And you're going to hear this song and you're going to know, like,
you're going to know
we're doing it, right?
Yep.
I'm doing some breakthrough. And so that song just kind of became this thing that I'd go back to every now and then, just to remember that promise from the Lord. And so as we were, listening to him, and we knew he was telling us to come back to Beltway, some of those things I just felt like, man, we got it off the ground. Like, it was run. We had a freedom class going.
Yeah.
We were doing, you came to the men's retreat, you and Reese and Tut, and y'all helped lead that there with the men there. And you saw some of that starting to play out, right? And so our last Sunday there, and part of what I grieved was like, God, are you done here? Because we just are getting this off the ground, and it's not what I would say is like, we did it. It's like we're starting it. But our last Sunday there, I'm in the foyer just talking to people and giving hugs, and they know it's our last Sunday. And we have music playing in the foyer, just like we do here at Beltway between services. And I know the playlist. I helped create the playlist. Right. I know what songs are on this thing that loop, and, it always plays in the foyer between services. This song is not on that playlist at all. Wow. But in this moment where it kind of quiets down, and I'm just standing out there looking at this and thanking the Lord for this season, that song starts to play. My Father's House by Corey Asbury. And it like shocks me, because I know the playlist. I've listened to it for 5 years, what's going on. And this song is never played in this church. And I felt like the Lord just kind of had that divine appointment to go, I got this. Yeah. Like, this church is going to be fine without you. I don't need you. Right. They need me. But you were obedient. And it was just this key to, like, you're doing what I'm telling your family to do, and they're going to be okay. And I've got this. This is about me, not about you. And I think about these moments, and that's a clear one for me, to just be like, okay, God, I trust you. It didn't look the way I thought it was going to look. It didn't happen the way I thought it might happen. I'm calling Sherry, like, how'd Beltway do it? I'm going to do it just like that. Yeah. It didn't happen that way. But the Lord spoke in that moment and used that to be like, you know, to affirm both what he's telling us to go do now and what he told us to do then. And I thought, man, that was so sweet of him. And that is not abnormal. These types of things happen all the time. And so I don't know if you've had, not necessarily even that, but just a couple you could speak to of like divine appointments, whether it was people, you've kind of already alluded to that, of those guys in that moment at boot camp, but other things.
Well, I just, as you're telling that story, I'm thinking about my wife and how important it is that we listen to our brides. Before all this ever happened, when everything was going great from a worldly perspective, we're at a sweet spot. We were also, we gotten into that for daycare. Fast forward, our kids are both in school now. We're working like 2 hours a week, maybe. Our kids are both in school. husbands and wives, I don't think, and I've tried this and lived it, we're designed to hang out with each other 50 hours a week. Yeah. We were going crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Some people can do that.
Making more money than you ever thought you could ever make.
Yeah.
And just going to lunch just to get out of the house. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of stirred up for a whole good season. And I was looking for something to do. Mm-hmm. And Rachel said, why don't you, I've been looking for something to do for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But without like making a deal out of it. She said, how come you don't stop and talk to Bo Dunnigan? And I said, you don't even know who Bo Dunnigan is. Yeah. And she said, well, I know, but when we walk through church, you see a couple hundred people every Sunday. You walk right past them, but every time you see Bo, y'all stop and talk for 15 or 20 minutes every time. I said, okay. And so I called Bo that day. He was in Lubbock at a Kingdom at Work conference. I didn't even know what Kingdom at Work was in Lubbock at the time. He said, yeah, let's do lunch. I'll be back in town tomorrow. We had lunch the next day, and I was kind of telling him where I'm at. He said, why don't you come in on Monday and we can get started with me? And so what I didn't know is he had come from a conference that was basically giving him permission as a business owner to go, hey, this is what it looks like to hand the keys over to Jesus in my business. And I need to get some like-minded people. Well, he literally hired me. I didn't go. I just going to lunch just to talk to a buddy. Yeah, right. Well, because my wife had seen that. Now, I say all that to say, I go with him. He's the owner of the company. I end up going back with him. He'd been out of the business for a couple of years. Ray Templeton was in a role that I stepped into. I mean, there's a lot of connecting things here. Yeah. And my role at the time was to be a connections director. It turned into a chaplain, like I talked about. A couple of years into that is when we lost our business. Okay. So the reason I would say it was divine is God was already putting in place a thing that would give me actually what would say when I talked to David about coming here to be really qualified to step into this role, having some ministry under my belt, doing some things out in this chaplaincy world for 3 or 4 years, And I mean, it just is incredible to see how God's always...
It's always working.
He's really good at orchestrating. And then the day I started here, the first day, it was a Tuesday, and we had our staff prayer meeting. And I walked into the chapel, and Jeremy Curls was playing, and he was getting started and looking around. He goes, Zach, man, I'm glad you're home. And I almost broke. And I almost broke because when I was a senior in college... 5 years ago in Abilene, I stepped foot in that chapel. Coach Keeneman invited me, a guy named Rick Wilson, me and my good friend Brian, and we walked out of that chapel that day and said, and at the time it was the church. Yeah. I don't know that I was giving my life to Jesus. I didn't. Yeah. I said, I want to do this. And then we didn't do anything. We went off, and my whole life went wreckage for the next 25 years, 15 years. But man, it was like I was standing in this, and I've heard you tell a story like this too, but I was standing in this spot, literally, physically, divinely, where I was standing a long time ago, and him just said, he didn't know that. He didn't know that story. Sure. I had forgotten almost that.
Yeah, you had forgotten it, but
huge
God brought
reminders
you back to that moment.
I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a word the Lord gave you that many years ago. You were able to appreciate and see
years
fulfillment
ago.
Of.
Yeah. And even then, what's funny is you can hear these things and then you can still run. Sure. A couple of years into this, I kind of went part-time for a little bit, trying to figure out what in the world am I. I was just fighting, grappling. And I was walking out of this building right over here to the side. And I was in a hurry. I was going from this thing to this thing to this thing. And God just stopped. I was trying to kind of halfway jog to my truck. And I just stopped, man. I couldn't walk. Like I couldn't move. This sound. You could be watching this and thinking, wait, this is the wild goose I'm talking about. Like, I couldn't physically take a step. I mean this. Yeah. And I'm like, what in the world? And I'm like trying to walk to my. Like, this is it's something right. Am I dying? Like, And God, and I felt like God. He doesn't really speak to me. I kind of just sometimes will just know and pray. I don't know. I can't explain it really. No time for that. But this is the pace, Zach. That's all I heard. And I kind of started walking. I get in my truck. What does that mean? This is the pace. Slow down. This is where you're supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is the pace you're supposed to be doing it at.
Yeah.
And man, I went home. I canceled the meeting that afternoon. I went home. I've never had more clarity.
Yeah.
But like, it's like he had to grab me and
Sure.
stop me.
Yeah.
You know, I can become like a train, man. I can get like you or any other guy.
Yeah.
Or maybe what lady.
And kind of always looking for
moving.
what's, it's like, I'm here now, and I know the Lord told me to be here now for this season doing this thing, but I can feel myself always kind of going, not enjoying this because I'm looking at like, oh, what's next? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And I know that's some of our culture. I think it's some of how I was raised and moved a lot in different things. But sometimes I feel like because I moved so much as a kid, I mean, Abilene's the longest I lived anywhere.
Yeah.
That sometimes even just being in the same place can kind of feel like something's wrong, and it's like, maybe it's not. Like,
this is why
I
we're
need to
coaching
ask
guys
the
to
Lord
pause.
this. Yeah.
Like
That's
literally
good.
we're you're talking about earlier adventure. What you discovered is what makes you come alive.
Yeah.
And that's like the core. I know we're talking about Wild Goose Chase, but there's another pretty popular book out there Beltway subscribed to years ago called Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
And we still use it for a lot of different things. But in the dead center of that whole message is what makes you come alive.
Yeah.
Not just what is your call on your life, what is God's will for your life, what do you like? No, what makes you come alive?
Yeah.
And just start moving in that direction.
Yeah.
I say that because I think there's a lot of people that do a lot of things and there's no life in it.
Sure.
Just doing the things and doing the things and doing the things like what you just described. Just doing.
Being busy.
Yes.
Trying to find it and trying to get fulfilled.
Right.
So.
And in the way you will at least get headed in the direction to discover that is to stop and pause and be still.
Yeah.
Get alone with God. And we're pastors. Surely you do that every day, right, Pastor Ben?
Yeah.
No, you probably struggle with it. Like I struggle with it. You're watching this, you struggle with it. Like a title to your name doesn't all of a sudden make you holier or better at whatever. Like no, like we have to become countercultural, and the culture's fast paced. It's not going to stop.
Sure.
It's not going to slow down. Man,
in ministry, it's demanding.
It's
You're trying
demanding.
to help people, and there's constant needs and constant. And those are great, but I have to make that so intentional to stop and
just a couple of times a day.
Yeah, an important part of praying, we've talked about this recently, is listening. And it's like I'm having to coach myself. Now we're coaching again of like, you got to stop and listen to the Lord, because I can easily just look up, and it's all good things. It can be holy things.
Yeah.
But I'm just chasing stuff rather than chasing the
Well,
goose.
and I'm attracted to this about if you're watching Ben, you might not get to see this, but I can share with you guys one thing that I see you do and I love is that, like when you're leading, say, our team in a prayer or in an environment like that, you almost every time get to a place where you start confessing, this is for me. Mm-hmm. It's not selfishly, but like,
no, yeah.
Hey, man, God's taking you through what you're taking other people through. And to me, that's like leadership 101 is you're not ever asking anybody to do something you're not willing to do. And you're willing to do it publicly in the open. And man, it just pulls, I don't know. I'm thankful for it. It pulls me into like getting my attention off of all the things and be like, oh no, Lord, right now in the center of me.
Yeah.
Here's a man up here saying this may be for you, but this is for me too.
Yeah,
I'm here, man. I'm in it.
Appreciate you saying that. I've found that's one place I know the Lord speaks to me now. Is it's oftentimes when I'm leading something, it is like start from a place of what's He doing in me.
Yeah.
Because it's never just for me. That's
Correct.
what I feel like the Lord has kind of told me. So that is becoming more of my default, and I'm thankful that it is what it is, and that because He's just using that.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's powerful, and it's
thanks.
And it's genuine, and I think that's like, this is what, when I came to Beltway looking for a church home, I was looking for, and I didn't have maybe this language, but freedom, because I'd been exposed to freedom, so I wanted, but like authenticity, and it's what I found. And it's not that this isn't a perfect place. There's plenty of people floating around, and man, I can run past you and not. I mean, we can do all sorts. But at the core of my heart and what I want to help men and in their homes and their families discover is that like you being just the most authentic version of you is your best shot, man.
Yeah.
It's your best play to run. Like it's gonna lead people more to Jesus than any one other thing. It's going to expose a deeper connection with you and your wife.
Yeah.
It's going to bring more joy into your home as a dad, with your children, with your workplace. The second you start trying to put something on based on the room you're walking into,
Yeah.
is the second that, and the enemy will start to grab a hold of that. Like, I even struggle. I don't know if you notice this. When you say, hey, Zach, tell them about yourself, I just go, I don't know. I don't even like saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there was a day there was like, I'm the defensive coordinator and the assistant head football coach, and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, just, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
no, man, I'm Zach. This has been, here we are.
We're chasing the goose,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. We're going to catch this. Maybe if we can catch us, I don't know. But,
Yeah.
and I hope you don't hear that like and think, you know, what you do isn't important.
Sure, yeah.
But it's just what you do. It's
They're not
part
exclusive.
of,
Like, God has called you to this thing, and it's important, but
Yeah.
we make it too much about the thing rather than he's telling me to do that for this season. And maybe that'll be it for a long season, or maybe it'll be something else, but it's about following him and the adventure
right.
he's taking us on. And so to wrap up, man,
Yeah.
I was thinking of something on, I think it's page 139 is what I have. He asked a question in there, and I thought, man, that's kind of a fun question. So I'll just spontaneously throw this at you and see what you think. But if you had to define yourself in one word, what do you think the Zach of like sin cheerleader, captain bus, time
what would previous Zach
versus,
say?
what would that
one
Zach
word?
say? One word to describe yourself. What would that be? And then the same question for the Zach I'm sitting next to right now. What would you say that one word? So start with.
The old Zach would say, finally. Because the old Zach knew I'm not showing my real cards of who I am to anybody. Nobody really knows me. Ultimate poser. And I think the old Zach would go that finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second question, how would I say about myself
like
today?
right now, you
would I
would say,
describe
like,
myself?
what's
This
one
is
word
stuff I
to-
don't like to do. Didn't you just hear what I said?
That's why I'm asking the question. That's why we're doing it.
I mean, the right thing, and I feel like to say is, grateful, thankful. I know there's one word, but I tend to lean on just real.
Yeah.
I think real. If I had to narrow myself down into one thing, like I'm the kind of guy that sometimes will say like I can't believe, like if you ask my friends or Rachel, like, I can't believe he just said that. Did he just say that? I just did it the other day. We were recording something here and I walked out and I thought, I can't believe I just said that.
Sure.
Why did I say it? But I mean, I have just gotten to a point where it's not that I don't care what other people think. I do care what other people think. But not to the level that I'm going to conform to you. I'm just going to be me, man. If my real isn't a fit, then okay.
Yeah.
But I don't want to ever again put myself into something where I've got to then every day put that fake, false identitied, person living in scarcity, always trying to self-promote and always trying to self-protect, like hold on and hoard. Like, no, man, this whole thing's about giving it away.
And isn't that interesting? I think about this too, because I've struggled with that so much in my life is people pleasing,
Oh,
and
my gosh.
but it becomes this thing that my wife calls it, not of me, just, you can tell when people aren't being genuine and authentic, like you were just talking about, and she calls it plastic. And when the funny thing is like, I'm so consumed with trying to please you and your, all these things that it honestly doesn't, it's not genuine. So it comes off plastic when, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like, it's
totally,
this funny,
dude.
like deceiving thing when,
It's like
when
that
I'm
little,
just vulnerable and doing what the Lord says.
that little AI toy you could make when all our AI started getting fun.
Yeah.
It's these little plastic toy versions of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're silly, but yeah. That's a good. What would you say to those questions? You put me on the spot. What's
here we
old
go.
Ben say? What's current Ben say?
If I think about like maybe 25-year-old Ben, I'm 43 now. I mean, I don't know exactly what I would have said then. I might have said this because I knew something was up. Like you, something's off, but you're not really free.
Yeah,
yet. You're not
you really
walking in
well.
freedom, and so I would have probably said something along the lines of like, I don't know, striver is a word, but somebody who's striving. And I can look back on that, and it really was just about man, I was striving to be loved and important and people to like me and to matter, and we all have that in us. And now I would say that it really is. It's not every day. I still struggle with being discontent, but it is very much more consistently the word I would use is content. Like I am at peace with like where I'm at and not constantly looking for that, like what's going to make me happy and what's going to just be the perfect job or perfect place to live, all these things. Because I know the truth is none of that will suffice. And as long as I'm just doing what the Lord's telling me to do today and live in the moment and enjoy the moment and be purposeful unto him and obedient to him, he will make my path straight. He's going to, all these things will be given according to you, and I don't have to worry about it. So and that's easy to say right now, like when I'm healthy minded, and that's becoming more days than not.
Sure.
But before those
that's
a
hard question to answer because common. I mean, immediately the enemy wants to come in and say, "Hey, let me sit down and answer that for you.
Yeah,
tell you all these things that you're not, and what you wish you were, and blah blah
Certainly.
blah." Yeah, that guy's dead. Those guys died.
Yeah, man. Thank God.
That's right.
Well, I just want to speak to that even with you. And man, I walked with you a little bit in that journey of just things, I was new on staff here again and seeing this in you. And I loved seeing, what the Lord was stirring in you, because I felt like he was stirring it in me for you at the time and being able to try to speak in it. It was like, I can tell you without a doubt, man, like you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like God's given you a gift for this, a calling for this, how you're walking with families, not just men. I know that's primarily your responsibility, but I see it. I'm a benefit of it, and getting to partner in ministry together is an absolute joy. And I appreciate that, I love you. I think you're phenomenal and you're a brother. And I'm thankful that the Lord allowed me to come back to work, because we didn't know each other really that well before. I knew who you were, but even until you came to Bastrop to help me with that men's retreat, that's when I kind of started to get to know you a little bit. And you're one of many examples I could say around here of like, man, thank God that I get to do this with you. Like, that. What a pleasure. So
we got a lot. We got a lot of work to do.
I know.
Just getting started.
I know. It's a good
we
team.
got a long way to go.
Well, man, I just want to say thank y'all for joining us today. We've had a fun conversation. I hope it's been beneficial to you all. I just want to encourage you to keep going on this journey with us. Even if you're just jumping in here, man, just start here.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, no shame for anything in the past. Like, start here with us. And I come this weekend to our weekend services and jump right in. You can grab the book and start where we are and then read more later. Just come in with us right now and listen to next week's podcast. And we're just so thankful that you're here. We love you. We'll see you next week.